Greetings, dears. So this side of the room has the pox, is that right? So everybody's staying away from that end except the brave few. Usually it's the center that gets spread around, but you're learning, aren't you? All right. This is a month you will remember for the rest of your life. Please be prepared for it. There are very big things going on this month, starting tomorrow. When you begin with energy transmissions that are going to have a profound effect, and another one right at the solstice, where you are going to have a full moon ritual. And good. At the solstice, where you're going to have the second part of that transmission. And then you will again, right about the time of Gal's birthday. It's right at the beginning of July, right? Yes. 2, 3? 3, yes. So, well, that's right then, right about the 3rd. Should be a really grand time. It's all about enlightenment or wisdom or inspiration, that inner voice becoming clearer and clearer. It is going to create doorways and new. And you can fill in the blank after the word new. New. So the big question is, what are you going to do with it, and how is it going to affect you? How do you deal with change? The energy over the last couple of years has been all about change. And over the last year, that change has been tinged with chaos as you have been working on core issues, cleaning up and figuring out exactly what it is you're wanting to do here, or at the very least, figuring out what you don't want to do here. And this month, the energy is about acting with it. So you have been learning, and you have been changing, and you have been growing, or you have been on a plateau and not knowing where to turn. It's always fear or love. That is the answer. Why am I in this place right now? Fear or love? If it's a happy place, it's probably love. If it's an unhappy place, work it down, you'll find it's fear. Fear or love. This is a month in which the nature of the energy you are is going to be amplified tremendously. And that might create for you fear. Samuel, why would I ever be afraid of the energy I am? Why do you think? No, a hard one to answer. Why would somebody be afraid?
Because there's so much new stuff and it doesn't seem like it could possibly be real. How could I possibly do this? But you can.
Yes, yes, yes. And particularly those who have been afraid of power. You were abused by it, or you are yourself one who has abused it. Power because you don't want to become a cog or become a cause.
Well, you have to take responsibility.
Yes. Because it requires responsibility to recognize your power. Because you have to do something with it. So I want to give you a hint. I'm not really giving you a hint. I'm just saying that. I'm going to give you a hint about how you can always use your power well and not be afraid to take responsibility for it. That sounds really complex, doesn't it? But it's back to that answer I gave at the beginning. Love. The litmus test for everything in your life is love. And June is going to be a month in which you are working with love. That's supposed to be February, right? The month of love. Sorry. But this is a month in which you're going to be dealing with love. And that can mean very many different things. You might find that one end of that spectrum is you feel unloved. Or you feel separation. And you need more love. That's very possible in a month in which the energy is so much of love, and in which that energy touches the lives of those who know that they are in love and their relationship is enhanced, and you're watching all of that. And you could easily feel less than or undeserving, or finding yourself focusing on relationship issues or times. But the other end of that spectrum is, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, all of your relationships being enhanced because of conscious love. All of your relationships, the ones at work, the ones at play, the intimate ones, the general ones, your relationships. So think for a moment about your relationships. Are you thinking? I don't see smoke yet. And as you think about your relationships, I want you to pick out just a couple of important relationships that you have in your life. Doesn't matter what kind of relationships they are. And while you're thinking about them, I'd like for you to ask yourself a couple of questions. And one of those questions, how can I make this relationship better? And the second question is, what do I do to make this relationship worse? How can I make it better? How do I make it not so better? All right, I didn't want to say worse. That implies it's already not good. So, not so better. your higher self is talking to you when you ask yourself questions. And it's telling you how you love, the patterns of your love, how you love. Now I want you to look at that sabotage list. How those things you do that make it not so better. For a moment, and look at ideas, ways you can turn that around. I am not giving the recognition and the respect, two things every human needs. I'm not giving enough recognition in this relationship. I'm not being respectful in this relationship. So how could you turn that around? Make a conscious effort to pay attention, to listen well. Ask yourself, what can I do to turn this around? And that alone is a great act of love. It's getting you started, because wanting to make something better is an act of love. Want is simply the ability to function without effort in a state of unconditional love. Unconditional love. That continues through your life. Not unconditional love for 5 minutes, got in the car, drove 2 blocks, lost unconditional love. Unconditional love for an hour, lost unconditional love. That consistent love. So if you're going to consistently function in unconditional love, it may be useful to think about what are the symptoms of love. What would you say are the symptoms of love? The first way to start building that is to think about a relationship in which there has been a balance of giving and receiving love. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship, but in which you know you were giving love and you know you were receiving love in balance. That might be with your dog. Some of you are much better with dogs than people. Thinking of a relationship like that.
Well, I just find that I don't get as irritated and cross as I might have about some things that made me very irritated before.
One example of, or a symptom of love is seeing it from the other side, recognizing that you're not getting so irritated about things that used to really bother you, because love doesn't see it until you've been married a few years, and then it shows up again. So you're thinking of that relationship, a balanced relationship. My first question is, if you can think of more than one, do you realize how fortunate you are? If you can think of one from your adulthood, do you know how fortunate you are? If it's a relationship that you are a part of now, do you know how fortunate you are? Not because of the giving and receiving love, but because of the balance in that. So often in a relationship, one is doing much more of the giving than the other. And having that imbalance requires work. It requires work. What are you willing to do to bring balance into a relationship? Sometimes that means pulling back. Sometimes that means stepping forward. Yes, this is a very tonight. Very simple, because love is the hardest thing you do in your life. And I want to present it by way of reminding you how good you are at it already. So that you won't fear as you move into this month and find acceleration in so many arenas. You're looking at a relationship in which you have balance in that love. Now, as you think about it, what are the symptoms? Colleen mentioned not being so irritated about things. What else? What are other symptoms? And they're going to be different for everybody. Because each one of you learned to love circumstances. And what is great love for you might just be medium love for someone else. What might to you seem like that's not very loving at all might be the most the other has ever given another. That's why I'm asking you to stop and think about what the symptoms are for you. Lilibet.
The best of the other person.
Thinking the best of the other.
And extending.
Which is a choice, by the way. You choose to see the best.
And extending trust first.
Extending trust first. Oh, but Lilibet, you cannot do that, because trust has to be built step by step, and you don't just automatically trust other people. Not in this world. That's a dangerous thing to do. And yet, if all you're doing is protecting yourself, if you do not want a relationship, if you do not want to give of your heart, yes, protect yourself all you can. Stay lonely, unhappy, grumpy, unpleasant to be around, and live with your 2 or 3 friends and think that's alive. Go ahead. Or realize that, yes, trust will grow, but you're not actually trusting the other person. You're trusting yourself. To be worthy. Let me change that. To feel worthy of being loved. You're trusting yourself to be able to manage your life with a new friend or new coworkers or a new intimate relationship. That if it doesn't work, you'll get back up and keep going, and your life won't be devastated, and you'll make it. You're trusting you. And trust is involved in relationships. One of the biggest things that breaks up relationships is the same thing that keeps them going. Now, you're likely saying, trust, yes, I get that. No. It's the child you were. The child you were breaks up relationships, and the child you were keeps them going. How does the child you were break up relationships? Remember that I was talking about trust. Frank.
I went blank.
So I'm going to make something up really fast.
Well, because you base
Yes.
the present on the past, the people, the behaviors that were hurtful to you, you see them from someone else and you believe they're being hurtful back. They are being hurtful to you based on past memories and past behavior.
And it may be the same behavior with none of the same intent. You didn't look me right in the eyes. Your face wasn't in a big laughing smile. That automatically means I'm in trouble and worth being punished, and I've done something wrong and this isn't good and I must go run and hide. And yes, those were very trivial things, but you understand what I'm saying? You look at your past, particularly the child you were, because that is indeed where you first learn to love, and you judge what's going on right now based on that. What your child needed then is not what the adult needs now. On the other hand, your child was not all fear and frustration. There were a few happy moments, and that's the child that helps your relationships. That child that learned to love the wind and adore the sun and not be afraid of people. The child that's willing to laugh and make jokes, appropriate or not. That child helps your relationships. But again, it's balance, isn't it? Suzanne and then Mary Claire, the symptoms.
Yes, thank you. Thinking of the other and thinking of their wants first.
Lovely. She said, thinking of the other person and their wants first. It's not so much about, it's not so much about what you want, what you need, how it has to be for you, unless, of course, you're trying really hard to break the relationship up. Because that will do it. No, it's, oh, Donna would love this. I would like to share it with her. Gail could use this. Let me give this to her. It's that thinking of the other. Lovely. Yes. Mary Claire.
Well, humor, I was going to say, is a big
Good.
part of long-term relationships, but also finding every day.
Says the woman married to a clown.
Well, he depends on it for me, too.
That's true.
Feeling, every day looking at those things that are right, that are wonderful, that are such a gift, and staying in a place of gratitude and knowing how fortunate you are. Some of us felt like we were getting more out of the relationship than the other, and so I think you said that's when there's balance.
Lovely.
When both thinks that they're just lovely as can be, and they see so many things that they get as a result of the relationship.
Nice.
And another thing too that I've learned over the years is, you were talking about trust earlier, that for me to behave consistently so that trust is nurtured in the other, in me.
Very good.
So that I can be one that can be depended upon, emotionally dependent upon, or just know that they're in there of that person knows that consistency is there, and they feel safe and trusted.
It's frightening to be around erratic people, isn't it? Where you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know how they're going to respond. And there is a security, and yes, absolutely a building of trust when somebody is functioning consistently with their nature. Learned is that nature. Love is, and here comes the big part of it, love is the nature of what you are. Love is your first response until you train yourself out of it due to fear. Love is the highest source in this world. And your functioning with love is your functioning as source. You vibrate to love. And the very thought of love changes frequency of every living thing. Simply you're putting yourself into a place of remembered love changes like a rock thrown into a pond all that is around you. Literally, you can change the molecular structure of water, thinking it, measurably change it. Imagine what that power does in this world. And realize, here is where I come back around, that those who are afraid of their power are afraid of their love. The greatest power you live. In a month in which you are going to be finding obvious, clear acceleration of your energy, a real outpouring of love, how do you think the world as a whole will deal with that. Very often, the world deals with a very loving individual as if something's wrong with them. What do you want? What's the motivation here? Because it cannot be a good motivation. Don't trust. But this energy, as I said earlier, is about enlightenment, which is to say it's going to enhance your ability to love and the ability of every function of life force on this planet, from a single cell to yourself. It's meant to bring healing, all kinds of healing. To heal the grid of energy into completion around the planet. To heal the wounds of the planet. To create a loving foundation for the new flow of energy that has been coming into your world and functioning like a pinball game, bouncing off of one staid and sticky set of old thinking to another set of old beliefs that should have been eradicated years ago to yet another and another and another. It is a month of do that. Heart level. It feels good, doesn't it? It's a month of opening. That's because your heart puts out a field. And you're right in that field. Last June, at the solstice, you had an energy transmission that activated 9 major points of power on the planet. Your work continues to be being balanced within yourself, so that as that energy moves through you, it continues through to the planet to those around you in a gentle and balanced way. This energy is the speeding train. It's not bring balance for the gentleness. It's the power of love in this world. And I will tell you, for many people, it will be the scariest months they've dealt with. Because you're going to be seeing, and here is a symptom of love, truth. And many people, when they see truth, play the turtle game. Right? Better watch that, eh? They play the turtle. keep that shell hard. And whatever you do, make sure that you protect yourself. And you know what that feels like. Because in your own life, you have done that. And this month, if your tendency is to do that when you are hit with the awesome power of love, that turtleness will be accelerated. The fear of love will prove greater than the power, the force of love. So watch out. Pay to your love. Pay attention to those you love. Pay attention to your expectations about love. Pay attention to what you see around you, because you'll see love or fear. You'll see people scrambling for power because to them, or scrambling to hide, or functioning in the moment with love. It's your choice. It's your doorway. And here is the thing about guardians. You lead the way. You're at the head of the line, but you're right there at that beginning push. And you know how it is. You see somebody going through the door and you say, oh, well, I can do that too. You have the opportunity to lead the world into a time of healing love. And the world you are in has never needed it more. Many are leaving right now. 4 legs, 2 legs. And very often when people are leaving or have left, your love starts pulling into security mode. The love that you gave starts protecting itself against pain of loss. Be careful about that this month. Stay in now. Right where you are. Right what you have. Don't look at what was. Don't look at what could have been. Stay now. That's where the power is anyway. What comes into your life throughout this month is all going to be centered on your ability to give and receive love. It's vital that you consciously function at your best, so that when you walk through that door, others see the right way to go through themselves. So what can you do in your life to be an expression of love? Well, earlier you looked at a couple of relationships and you wrote down things that you could do. Well, the fact of it is, that would be true in every relationship, unless what you wrote down was have more sex. That's not good for every relationship. But generally speaking, what works in a relationship with your coworker is going to work in a relationship with your parent or your child. And what does not there work, got to get a little more Texas into that so you understand it better. What isn't the best direction to go is going to be the same for all of your relationships. And everything in your life is about relationships. Everything in your life. So be prepared this month. After the solstice, the energy is going to be very directed toward action. Be ready for that. Know now the kind of actions that are fulfilling, particularly as relating to and one more time, I'm going to warn you. It's love or it's fear. That is the nature of your spiritual experience. You are choosing love or choosing fear. Choose love. No matter what, no matter how, choose love. That covers it. I thought, should I push a little harder? But I think I've pushed. I think you've got the message, yes? Your world is changing tomorrow. Your world changes every moment. But this is a year in which the energy transmissions affect you down to your very core. And the good news is your core is love. Let that be amplified in this world. Send it through your touch, send it through your thoughts. But send it. Receive it with all of your being. See it wherever you are. See it, recognize it, accept it. Revel in it. Accept the power it brings and put it back out. Loch numera.